Force your mind to stay calm in any situation. Have you ever noticed how the mind betrays you at the very moment you need it most? A small problem suddenly feels like a disaster. A single harsh word shakes your peace, and before you know it, panic takes control of your body and decisions. Yet the most powerful people in history, from warriors on the battlefield to sages in solitude, were not those who avoided the storms, but those who walked into them with unshakable calm. Calmness is not weakness; it is the highest form of strength. In this world of constant noise, endless stress, and unexpected chaos, the one who can force their mind to stay calm, the one who can force their mind to stay calm is the one who wins not only over situations, but over themselves. If you ever wished you could stand firm while others lose control, breathe deeply while others choke on fear, while others check on fear, and respond with clarity while others drown in confusion, and stay with confidence. In this journey, you are about to discover several powerful ways to train your mind to remain calm in any situation. Chapter 1: The Inner Switch: Learning to Turn Off Panic. Every storm that shakes our life begins inside the mind, long before it ever shows itself in the outside world. What many people cannot understand: chaos does not first exist in the environment around us. It exists in way our mind interprets and reacts to events. Two people can face the same situation, but one will crumble in fear while the other remains steady and composed. The difference lies not in the size of the storm, but in the strength of the mind. Calmness is not the absence of problems. It is the mastery of your internal state. When problems arrive, the people who lose themselves in chaos are often those who believe that panic is in who believe that panic is inevitable, that fear has complete control, and that their emotions will always dictate how they and that their emotions will always dictate how they respond. But those who remain unshaken discover a secret. The panic that rises in moments of difficulty is not a permanent truth, but a signal, one that can be controlled, redirected, and even silenced if we train ourselves to, and even silenced if we train ourselves to do so. Imagine for a moment that within your mind there exists a hidden switch, a simple but powerful control. That there is simple but powerful control that you can activate whenever life overwhelms, whenever life overwhelms you. This switch is not something you can see or touch, but it is very real. It is the decision to stop feeding fear and to remind yourself that panic is only a choice. You know this feeling, your heart begins to race, your breath grows shallow, your palms sweat, and your thoughts scatter in 100 directions, all trying to prepare you for a danger, all trying to all trying to prepare you for a danger that may not even exist. In those moments, In those moments, most people surrender to panic. They believe it is automatic, something they have no say in it. They believe it is automatic, something that something they have no say in. But calmness begins when you realize that panic is not inevitable. It is simply an untrained response of, of the nervous system. Just like a muscle can be trained to grow stronger, the mind can be trained to resist panic by teaching yourself to notice the exact second. Train yourself to notice the exact second when panic begins to rise. You give yourself a chance that most people miss, the chance to stop, a chance that most people miss, the chance to stop it, the chance to stop it before it takes over. It is in that small window of awareness that you can flip. It is in the small window of awareness that you can flip the mental switch. It is in the small window of awareness that you can flip the mental switch. Instead of letting fear drag you in its spiral, you pause and choose. You pause and choose to take control. You remind yourself that your thoughts are not reality. They are not, they are only signals. They are only signals. And signals can be redirected. Instead of drowning in the waves of fear, you watch them rise. Instead of drowning in the waves of fear, you watch them rise and fall. You watch them rise and fall like an observer standing on the shore. And in that moment, you whisper, and in that moment, and in that moment, and in that moment, you whisper to yourself, you whisper to yourself, you whisper, I decide how this moment feels. This act alone of shifting from helplessness to choice. This act of shifting from helplessness to choice is where calmness begins. Calmness does not mean there is no chaos around you. The storms of life will never stop coming. There will always be difficult conversations, sudden losses, unexpected challenges, and moments test your strength. But calmness means that even in the middle of the storm, you do not let yourself be swept away. You learn to stand steady while the winds blow. You learn to stand steady while the winds blow, to keep your focus while noise surrounds you, and to keep breathing when your mind wants to collapse. That is the true meaning of calm, not escaping the chaos, but refusing to let it control you. The first and most powerful step to building the first and most powerful step to building this kind of calm is you realizing that you always carry a hidden switch inside you. It does not belong to anyone else. It does not it does not belong to anyone else, and it cannot be taken away. It is there in the middle of every stressful day, every argument, every setback, and every moment. Every argument, every setback, and every moment of fear. Most people never use it because they never learn it exists. But the moment you become aware of it, you begin to see that you have far you begin to see that you have far more control over your inner state that you once believed. And once you learn to flip that switch, panic loses its power. The storm may rage outside, but the storm may rage outside, but inside you remain calm, steady, and unshaken. Chapter 2: The Power of a Pause. Owning the space between stimulus and response. Life is full of moments that test us. Life is full of moments that test us. Moments when words are spoken that cut deep. When sudden problems knock on our door. When sudden problems knock on our door, or when something happens, when sudden problems knock on our door, or when something happens that we never planned for, or when something happens that we never planned for. In this moments, the human instinct is often to react. In these moments, instinct, the human instinct is often to react. The human instinct is often to react. In these moments, the human instinct is often to react. The human instinct is often to react instantly, almost without thinking. And our emotions rise like a fire, and before we even realize what we are doing, we speak words we later regret. We speak words we later regret. Make choices that create more problems, or lash out in anger that only leave us feeling weaker. This is the cycle most people live in. The stimulus comes, reactions follows, and consequences. The stimulus comes, reactions follows, and consequences build. Yet hidden in this cycle is a space. This cycle is so powerful that it can change the course of every situation. The pause. The pause is the space between that happened to you and and have you respond. The pause is the space between that happened to you and have you respond. It is small, but it is not empty. Inside that pause lives the possibility of calm. Inside of that pause lives the possibility of calm, wisdom, and control. When someone insults you, your natural impulse may be to snap back. When a mistake happens at work, your first reaction may be frustration or blame. When life suddenly changes the direction, your instinct, your instinct might be to panic. But in every one of those moments, there exists a pause, and in that pause lies a choice. Do you let emotions drive you blindly, or do you stop, breathe, and decide with clarity? Imagine fire breaking out in a small corner of your home. If you instantly throw fuel on it, the fire will rage. The fire will rage and consume everything. But if you pause, even for a second, you have the chance to throw water instead. Maybe you realize the fire is smaller than you thought. Maybe you realize the fire is smaller than you thought and can be put out easily. That is what the pause does. It gives you time to choose water over fuel, calm over chaos. It interrupts the automatic reaction of the mind and replaces it with conscious choice. Most people underestimate the power of a Most people underestimate the power of a single breath. Most people underestimate the power of a single breath. In the middle of an argument, one slow breath can stop you. One slow breath can stop you from saying something that will haunt you later. In the middle of stress, one breath can remind you that panic will not solve the problem, but patience will. In the middle of fear, one breath can ground you in the present. Instead of drowning you in what ifs. The pause is not about doing nothing. It is about doing the right thing. It is about doing the right thing instead of the first thing. When you train yourself to pause, you are no longer a victim of your impulses. You stop being a puppet pulled. You stop being a puppet pulled by the strength of anger, fear, or frustration, and instead you become the master of your own actions. Think of great leaders, wise teacher. Think of great leaders, wise teachers, or even those people in your life who never seem to, or even people in your life who never seem to lose their composure. They are not calm because life is easy for them. They calm because they have mastered the pause. They know that the mind is like a wild horse that wants to run wherever, like wild horse that wants to run wherever it pleases. But the pause is the reins that keeps it under control. The pause also protects relationship. The pause also protects relationships. How many friends, marriage, or family bonds have been broken by words spoken in heat, words that might have never been said if only a pause was taken. How many careers have been damaged because someone reacted in anger, instead of pausing to respond with reason. The pause is small, but its effects ripple. The pause is small, but its effects ripple across a lifetime. When you use it, you build trust, patience, and respect, not only with others, but also with yourself. Learning the power of the pause requires practice, just like learning any other skill. Start noticing the moments when your emotions rise quickly, when your chest tightens, when your hands clench, when your voice wants to burst out. In those moments, remind yourself that you are not forced. Remind yourself that you are not forced to act right away. You can stop, you can breathe, you can think. At first, this pause may only last a second or two, but with time you will learn to stretch it. And inside that stretch, your wisdom will grow. Calmness is not about ignoring what is happening around you. It is about taking control of what happens inside you before you respond. The pause is the bridge between the two. Without it, you are driven by reaction. Without it, you are guided by choice. The person who owns the pause owns their life because they are no longer a slave to circumstances, but a master of themselves. Remember this: there is always a space. There is always a space between stimulus and response. In that space lies your power. In that space lies your freedom. In that space lies your freedom, and in that space lies your calm. Chapter 3. We finished the second chapter and we go to the chapter 3. Chapter 3. Programming the body. Chapter 3. Training calm through breath. The mind and the body are not two separate things. The mind and body are not the two separate things. The mind and the body are not two separate things working independently. They are controlled in an they are they are connected in an unbreakable partnership. They are connected in an unbreakable partnership, constantly influencing one another in ways we rarely notice. When the body panics, the mind follows. When the mind feels overwhelmed, The body reacts instantly. When mind feels overwhelmed, the body reacts instantly. This is why stress can make your chest tighten, your breath quicken, your palms sweat, and your stomach twist into knots. Most people believe this cycle cannot be interrupted. When the body begins to panic, the mind must obey, or once the mind fears, the body must collapse. But the truth is far more empowering. But the truth is more, but the truth is far more empowering. Just as panic can control the body can be trained. The body can train to calm the mind. The fastest and most powerful tool to do this is something. The powerful to do this is something so ordinary that we forget its strength. Let's talk about breath. Breathing is not just about keeping us alive. It is about keeping us in balance. It is about keeping us in balance. When you are calm, your breath is slow, steady, and deep. When you are calm, your breath is slow, steady, and deep. When you are afraid, your breath when you are afraid, your breath becomes shallow, quick, and restless. These patterns are not accidents. They are signals sent to the brain. When you breathe shallowly, you are telling your brain there is danger. There is danger. Prepare to fight or run. When you breathe deeply and slowly, you are sending the opposite. You are sending the opposite message. I am safe. I am in control. This means that by consciously, this means that by consciously controlling your breath, you can change. You can change the state of your mind and stop panic from taking over. Taking off breath as the remote control of your nervous system. Imagine holding that remote in your hand. Imagine holding that remote in your hand. At the very moment fear begins to rise. If you press the wrong button by letting your breath spiral out of control, panic floods, panic floods, panic floods in, and your mind believes chaos is real. But if you press the right button, if you inhale deeply, hold for a few seconds, and exhale slowly, you override the panic. You override the panic system and reprogram the body. And you reprogram the body to feel safe again. This is why monks, warriors, athletes, and even singers practice their breathing so carefully. They understand that in moments of pressure, they understand that in moments of pressure, breath becomes the difference. Breath becomes the difference between collapsing and performing. Breath becomes the difference between collapsing and performing at their best. Consider how this plays out in real life. Consider how this plays out in real life. A soldier in battlefield hears a soldier in battlefield hears his heartbeats pounding like thunder. A soldier in battlefield hears his heartbeat pounding like thunder. A soldier in battlefield hears his heartbeat pounding like thunder in his ears. His body wants to panic, but he has trained his breath. But he has trained his breath to stay slowly and steady, and trained his mind to stay sharp enough to make the right choices. A surgeon in an operation room feels the weight of a human life in her hands. Fear could overwhelm her, but by controlling her breath, she commands her mind to remain steady and focused. Even in daily life, when you face arguments, financial stress, or unexpected bad news, the first thing the first thing that spills out of control is usually your breathing. And the very first thing you must take back is also your breathing. There is a simple truth to remember. There is a simple truth to remember. There is a simple truth to remember. You cannot control everything that happens around you, but you can always control your breath. And when you control your breath, you begin to control your mind. One of the simplest techniques is called box breathing, where you inhale for count of four, hold for a count of four, exhale for a count of four, and hold again for four. This simple rhythm calms the nervous system, slows the heart, and tells your brain to relax. Another technique is to make your exhale longer. Another technique is to make your exhale longer than your inhale. Because when the body exhales slowly, it naturally releases tension and signals safety to the brain. These are not tricks. They are They are powerful practices that these are practices that rewire how your body and mind respond to stress. When you train your breath in moments of peace, when you train your breath in moments of peace, when you breathe in moments of peace, you prepare yourself for moments of chaos. Think of it like sharpening a sword before battle. You do not wait until the fight begins to prepare. You prepare every day so that when the fight comes, you are ready. The same is true with breathing.